Yeah, you been scarred, but you a czar, you can crawl to the grave. I know that a lion's inside, sleeping in your heart. Step back and remember who you are.
What up, Pride? It's your boy Amari, back again with another lyrical breakdown / explained video. For those of you who don't know, I make these explained lyrical breakdown videos explaining the themes, concepts, etc. for all of my songs. Typically because my songs are attached to concept albums and there's a bunch of like hidden meaning and stuff in them. But now, because I first found out about this song, which is My Shot, that I remixed from a reaction video where I was analyzing it. So it only feels right for me to continue that trend with this song and analyze my own version, explain my own version to those of you who decided to listen to it. So thank you so much for listening to it. In this video, you will see me reading off of the computer screen because I wrote down the different things that I want to touch on from the song itself to ensure that I didn't forget, because once I start talking, my brain will go all over the place and I might forget some of the things that I wanted to say. So you will see me reading off, but hopefully it won't be too weird because I'll still be staring at the camera. But without further ado, we're gonna get into this. I'll start with like general stuff about the song itself, and then I'll dive into specific lyric line by line references and things of that nature. So thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully you enjoy and come away with a new understanding of the song. Okay, let's get into it. Firstly, this song, starting in the intro, grows in intensity before peaking at the end of the verse as a homage to several Hamilton songs which do the same. For example, this growing in intensity happens in songs like The Room Where It Happens, which is another Hamilton song about ambition. Furthermore, I use many of the phrasings and almost all of the in-rhyme rhyme schemes from the original My Shot song, but I take them in my own Amari direction because I didn't want to just bite Lin. Some of these are obvious and some of these less so, but I'll point them out as we go for those of you who might have missed them. Many of the lines I changed up the cadence or flow of the line to expand upon the syllables in the line or add additional rhymes, like initial rhymes, which is a rhyme at the beginning of the lines, or internal rhymes, which is things that rhyme either in the line itself or with another middle word of a following line, previous line, so on and so forth. So basically what that means is I took the template of the original My Shot song as far as like the rhyme schemes, and then I changed up the way in which I rapped or the way in which the sentences were structured to be able to add additional rhymes into it or change up the rhymes in ways that just fit what I was going for better. This entire verse also has a few narrative through lines that tie it all together. One through line is that I took the idea of coal and flame mentioned in the original My Shot verse and developed upon it in a natural progression of sorts. Firstly, you have a piece of coal, which can power machines, something I mentioned in the verse, and can cause them to smolder. Smoldering means to burn or release heat without a flame. Then you have a spark, which can be caused by coal, like coals can lead to sparks, and lead to a forest fire, which is a more intense version of fire, and in turn is going to release more heat. I then up the intensity of the imagery of fire, again by mentioning the sun, which is also a common narrative in my own music and is often depicted as a massive ball of fire. So like in poetry and things of that nature, the sun is often described as a ball of fire. I then mention light, which is the byproduct of the sun, or fire, just like heat is the byproduct of a machine, a spark is the byproduct of a piece of coal, a forest fire is the byproduct of a spark, so on and so forth. Finally, I mentioned luminosity, which is the quality of something that gives off light. This is used in astronomy to describe the intrinsic brightness of a celestial object like the sun. So basically, to summarize all of that, I have all of these different lines that mention all of these different things related to heat, fire, sparks, light, the sun, coal, machines, so on and so forth. All of these things are thematically associated with each other and all grow in intensity over the course of the verse itself. Or another way to put it is there's a progression of the imagery over the course of the verse. Another through line in the verse is the imagery of royalty and me tying that to the concept of me being an independent artist, an entrepreneur, and in turn being the king of my own metaphorical kingdom. This idea is referred to in lines including words like king, reign, Amari, which is my name but also means prince, ruling, monarchy, majesty, supremacy, royalty, and thee, which is an Old English word dating back to a time where nobility and royalty was more common. Okay, now onto the lyrics. I'll do my best to break down the lyrics in a way that is clear for everyone watching. If it seems like I'm explaining something that's obvious, keep in mind that what is obvious to one person may not be obvious to another person. Furthermore, 75% of my listeners and viewers on YouTube are from countries where English is not the first language. So it's possible that I may be making a reference or using an idiom or a phrase that is common in your area but may not be common where someone else is. However, I still want them to understand the song as well, which is why I'm making this entire explain video in the first place. So I will explain some things that may be obvious to you. Just fast forward that part, I guess. With that said, I will approach these videos like the other explained videos for my other songs and projects, meaning that I won't explain every single thing about each line because I want to leave Easter eggs for future songs and projects, because I do make references to future songs and projects in all of my songs, and I'd like to leave those a mystery for those of you who are interested in like solving those kinds of things. And so for those people who are interested in those things, I won't cover a lot of those things, especially because being like, hey, this references a project I have coming out 2 years from now doesn't make sense because it's not out yet. But I do that kind of thing a lot in my music. Not to mention, if I explained every single detail and reference in this song, we'd be here for probably an hour. We might actually be here for an hour anyway, but let's see. Without further ado, let's move on to the first line. Oh, first, before we do that, disclaimer, I will be mentioning a lot of alliteration in this breakdown. I use a lot of alliteration in this song, and in this breakdown, some of the alliteration that I mention will be letter-based repetition alliteration, not sound-based. Depending on your source and education, alliteration is either a repetition of initial letters or sounds in close-by words, or it's solely sound-based. If you are of the only sound-based repetition is alliteration and letter-based repetition is not alliteration, that is fine. Just describe those sections relating to letter repetition using another word that pleases your brain. But considering that I've heard alliteration describe both, just for sake of ease of the breakdown, I will be using alliteration to describe both. Okay, so again, now without further ado, let's get into the first line. I don't need a scholarship to King's College. This line is a flip on the first line of the first verse of My Shot. I'ma get a scholarship to King's College. The idea is that unlike Hamilton, I don't need a scholarship to any collegiate institution as my goals are in a field that don't require a degree. Music. Cause rapping gag about how I can daze and demolish. This line is a reference to the line, I probably shouldn't brag, but dang, I amaze and astonish. I create multiple internal rhymes between my line and the original line by using words like gag instead of brag, and daze instead of amaze, and demolish instead of astonish. This line has two meanings. The first meaning relates to gag, the LGBTQ slang term, which means that you witness something so amazing you're at a loss for words, i.e. you've been gagged. The second meaning relates gag to the idea of being sick. Sick is a slang adjective that means something is excellent, amazing, or cool. This line also includes multiple sets of alliteration. The gag in this line starts a three-part internal g alliteration, which is continued in the next line via got and golden. There's also a two-part k alliteration via cuz and can, and a two-part d alliteration via daze and demolish. For the record, there will be a lot of lines like that where there are multiple sets of alliteration in the same line, both as a nod to Lin, who uses a lot of alliteration in the songs in Hamilton, which I love, but also just because I personally just really like alliteration, and so being able to fit it in a bunch of different places pleases my brain, and so I do whenever I can. Next line. The problem is I got golden polish but not accomplished. This line is a play on Alex saying, the problem is I got a lot of brains but no polish. Unlike Alex, my issue isn't that I'm lacking in polish or too rough around the edges. My primary issue is the fight for notoriety when I haven't yet achieved my goals or gotten recognition for my skills. This line is also furthered in the lyric video, as every time my name is mentioned in the video itself, it is in gold or gold and red lettering, being a visual signifier of that golden polish mentioned in this line. This line also includes multiple sets of alliteration, because of course it does. As just mentioned, this line continues the three-part g alliteration from the last line via got and golden, which started with gag in the last line. This line also includes a two-part p alliteration via problem and polish, and this line further includes a three-part internal rhyme via got, not, and but. I got a scholar just to be heard, every ponder absurd, my power is knowledge. This line is a direct play on the lines, I got a holler just to be heard, with every word I drop knowledge, from the original My Shot song. The meaning of this line is a reference to the fact that most of the current listeners to my music found said music via my YouTube channel, where I make analytical reaction videos to music using my extensive knowledge about music. I have to take this strategy to market my music because I have zero marketing budget, given I am an independent artist. This line also includes 2 sets of internal rhymes via scholar, ponder, and power, as well as heard and absurd. This line also includes a 2-part puh alliteration via ponder and power. Songs about diamonds in the rough. This is a reference to my song Remember Who You Are that plays as the intro for my entire Hamilton reaction series, which is probably how most of you guys found out about this song anyway, and includes the lines, you're a diamond in a mine, who you are, high PSI, it's only toughened you, so you got something they can't pry.
If I look in the sky, no more tears to cry. You can dry your eyes, you're a diamond in the mine. High PSI, it's only tough for you, so you got something that can pry. Just with a pink goodbye, now you feel spry. Take that dirt and wash it off like on dry dye, cause you know who you are.
This line is also a play on Hamilton referring to himself as a diamond in the rough, and connects with the next line about coal, as both diamonds and coal are made from carbon. So leave a mark like piece of coal. This line references coal dust, which leaves black marks on things that comes into contact with coal, and has 2 meanings. First meaning, I make songs that impact people because I talk about topics like a person being a diamond in the rough in my music. Second meaning, like Hamilton, my goal is to leave a mark on history, leaving behind a legacy for future generations to see. Trying to reach the goal to summit a peak they say is unfeasible. This line is a reference to the line, trying to reach my goal, my power of speech, unimpeachable. Catching on now, I use a lot of the similar rhymes, the bowl rhyme here, but taking my own different direction. In this line, I take the phrase power of speech and flip the order of the P and S syllables to create the phrase summit a peak. So power of speech, summit a peak. This is a reference to Lynn using intentional spoonerism in Hamilton songs, like in the song Washington on Your Side, with lines including phrases like fits of passion and pits of fashion. So instead of doing a spoonerism with my own line, I did a spoonerism with his line that happens in the same place in this song. Does that make sense? This line means that I continue on my ambitious path in spite of there being many people who claim reaching my goal as an artist is unrealistic or unattainable. This line also includes multiple sets of internal rhyme. It has a 2-part internal rhyme via goal and unfeasible, as well as including a 3-part internal rhyme via reach, peak, and unfeasible. So it's the E in those words that are rhyming, creating the internal rhyme. This line also includes 2 sets of alliteration, a 4-part T alliteration, so T letter repetition, via tryna, the, to, and they. Again, see the earlier letter alliteration disclaimer. And a 2-part S alliteration via summit and say. Machines lean and mean, feel this heat, I'm on smolder. This line is a triple entendre. First meaning, lean, mean, machine is an idiom that means someone or something is extremely good at what they do. In this case, what I'm saying is I'm extremely good at rapping because the entire song is about bragging. That's like the point of both this song and that song. Second meaning, I am naturally skinny, if that wasn't clear. So if I was a machine, I'd be a lean machine. Heat is a slang term for something being fire or very good. In this case, the music I release is the heat being released via a lean machine, me. As said before, I connect this to the idea of machines, especially ones that burn coal, releasing heat without necessarily being on fire, i.e. they are smoldering, which means to burn slowly and release heat without a flame. Third meaning, smolder also means to have strong but suppressed feelings. For example, Aaron Burr in The Room Where It Happens, which is a song I mentioned earlier. And so this line can also be interpreted as, while I am working like a machine and releasing all of this heat, music, I am still smoldering as I have yet to accomplish my goals. Just like Hamilton early in Hamilton during the My Shot era. This line also includes a 3-part internal rhyme via machine, lean, and mean, all of which rhyme with 19, which appears in the line only 19 but my mind is older from the original My Shot song that happens at this same place in the song. This line also includes a 2-part M alliteration via machine and mean. The slimy dirty streets cold boulder. This line is a reference to the line, these New York streets get cold, I shoulder. In the original My Shot song, the boulder mentioned here is Boulder, Colorado, which is not the city I'm from, but is another American city that gets cold and also rhymes with cold. besides New York, and has an average annual snowfall of 276 inches. I have no idea what that means because I have no frame of reference for that. I've never lived in a city that snows that much, but yeah, Boulder gets cold, and that's the whole point of the line. This line includes an internal rhyme via cold and the first syllable of Boulder, so cold, bold. This line also includes a two-part S alliteration via slimy and streets. My motor, all the trauma, all the tragic damage I have had to bandage. This line is a direct reference to the lines, every burden, every disadvantage I have had to manage. This line includes multiple sets of alliteration, a 5-part T letter repetition via the, trauma, the, again, tragic, and to, as well as including an H sound alliteration via have and had. This line further includes a 2-part internal rhyme via damage and bandage. Next line, I am now the gun they brandish, from my mouth beats vanquish. This line is a direct reference to the lines, I don't have a gun to brandish, I walk these streets famished, in the original My Shot song. A lot of you guys who have heard the My Shot song a ton will probably have picked up on a lot of these references that I'm making in this song, but for those of you who didn't, there you go. In that version, the in-rhyme pair with brandish is famished, talking about Hamilton's metaphorical hunger. Hunger has a lot to do with a person's stomach and is solved using a person's mouth. In the case of Hamilton, to galvanize revolutionaries and command troops, and in my case, to vanquish beats, i.e. kill it on songs. So basically the metaphor is I am the gun, I don't need a gun because I am one. The plan's to gain fans and fan sparks to force flames. This line is a direct reference to the line, the plan is to fan this spark into a flame. This line makes use of homonyms, which are words that sound the same but mean different things. In this case, the homonyms are fans, the supporters of an artist or work, and fan, to increase the strength of a fire by blowing on it or stirring up the air near it. This line continues the imagery of fire and coal, which is a through line running throughout the verse that I mentioned earlier. This line also includes a 4-part F alliteration via fans, fan, forest, and flames. This line further includes a 3-part internal rhyme via plans, fans, and fan. Sky's never getting dark, this rising sun's gonna rain. This line is a quadruple entendre because it's me. Any of you guys who listen to my other music and watch my other explained videos know that I really like adding lines that have a bunch of different interpretations and meanings in them, and so I consistently have lines that have 3, 4, 5 different meanings and interpretations in my songs, and this is yet another example of that. So this line is a quadruple entendre. First meaning, sky's never getting dark could mean it's about to rain, i.e. the sky is filling with dark clouds, rain clouds, the rain from which would put out the forest fire. I instead flip this on his head and say that I am a rising sun, only getting hotter and brighter than that initial forest fire, and therefore piercing through those dark clouds. This line then takes advantage of the homophone of rain, the water that falls from the sky during weather events, and reign, the period during which a royal monarch rules, stating that the only reign that is coming is my dynastic reign. This homophone pair is a callback to a few of my songs, including Prince, Long Live the King, It Is Time. I just really like this homophone pair of rain and rain. I think there's a bunch of different clever ways that you can use it, and so I use it all the time. Second meaning, sky's getting dark could also mean it's becoming nighttime because the sun is going down. But I counter this by saying that my sun is still rising, so it's actually dawn, not dusk, and the reign of my day is just beginning. Third meaning, sky's getting dark could also mean it's already nighttime when the spark gets fanned into a forest fire, and as the forest fire starts to die down, and in turn its illuminating light starts to fade, the sky goes back to being dark. I counter this by saying my sun is rising before the light of the forest fire fades, so the sky has no opportunity to go back to being dark. Basically, the forest fire rages throughout the night, the sun starts to rise, and so even though the forest fire is dying down, sun's coming up. Fourth meaning, sky's getting dark could also be a reference to the large amounts of ash and soot released into the air during forest fires. This would normally have a darkening effect on the sky, but in my case, my sun is rising, which brings with it light that overpowers the darkening effect of the soot and ash in the air. This line also includes 3 sets of alliteration. Yeah, a two-part S alliteration via sky and sun, a two-part G alliteration via getting and gonna, and a two-part R alliteration via rising and rain. The idea of rising is also mentioned consistently throughout the original song, the original My Shot song, so portraying myself as a rising sun also leans into the spirit of that. And fun fact, it's an Easter egg to like some future projects I got. I said I wasn't gonna tell you the Easter eggs, but just that's gonna be a while down the road, so just for the archives, let it be known. Probably gonna come out like 8 years from now. I've already have it planned out and I'm already referencing it in songs now. Next line, I am the AMARILEON, then another E. In part 15 of my Hamilton reaction series, I took the lines from My Shot where Hamilton spells out his name, then says, we are meant to be, and instead freestyled my own name into it. So obviously there are a couple of back-to-back references to My Shot in there, the early part of My Shot where Alex raps, only 19, but my mind is older. These New York City streets get colder. I shoulder every burden, every disadvantage I've learned to manage. I don't have a gun to brandish. I walk these streets famous. The plan is to fan this spark into a flame, but damn, it's getting dark, so let me spell out the name. I am the AMARILEON, then another E. This industry, y'all run independently. Freestyle Leon keeps ruling on you, monarchy. What? This moment is what inspired the creation of this entire remix. So if my brain hadn't done that, we wouldn't be here talking about this song. This industry, I'll run it independently. This line was another one of the 3 lines I freestyled in part 15 of my Hamilton reaction series. If you saw that, then you saw this line. This line has 2 meanings. The first meaning is this line is a reference to me being an independent artist, meaning I'm not signed to a record label. The second meaning is similar, but just a different industry. It's a reference to my being an entrepreneurial content creator who doesn't have a team of people helping in the creation of my content or the running of my channel. It's just me. I run it independently. This line has 2 sets of internal rhymes via this and indus, so the first part of industry, as well as stree and lee. So basically I take the word industry and I create 2 internal rhymes using the first syllable with this and the second syllable with the last syllable of independently. This line also has a 2-part alliteration with industry and independently by starting with the ind sound, which is further expanded into a 3-part I letter repetition alliteration if you focus on the initial letter to include isle. So you have industry, isle, and independently. Freestyle Leone keeps ruling on you, monarchy. This is the 3rd of 3 lines that I freestyled in part 15 of my Hamilton reaction series that inspired this song. This line means that even when I'm freestyling, I'm still the king or monarch ruling over, I guess, rapping. The original version of My Shot has a line here that starts with the word meanwhile, which rhymes with freestyle, the initial word of this line, creating a initial rhyme between this line and that line. Your Majesty, I flex it effortlessly. This line is in the same place as the line, essentially, they tax us relentlessly, from the original My Shot song. I flip it, and in the process, I create a 3-part rhyme with the original line. I don't know if you've noticed, I really enjoyed rhyming my lines with the original version and creating all of these like Easter eggs, if you know that song really well, that you can pick up on additional rhymes. So this line, I flip it, and in the process, I create a 3-part rhyme with the original line, where essentially becomes Your Majesty, an initial rhyme, tax becomes flex, which is an internal rhyme, and relentlessly becomes effortlessly, which is an in rhyme. The slang term flex means to show off or brag about one's accomplishments or possessions. It is often used to demonstrate success or skills and is done with the intent to impress others. Both this song and the original My Shot song are basically just examples of people flexing, me and Hamilton respectively. The meaning of this line is that it's not hard for me to go full king mode, because we're just talking about Your Majesty, monarchy. It just happens effortlessly, which is a lie because I am a notorious perfectionist. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm a big time perfectionist and I actually put a ton of work into my songs, which is hopefully demonstrated in the complexity and quality of the songs themselves. Next line. While all these labels run around on a spending spree. This line is a direct reference to the line, then King George turns around, runs a spending spree, from the original My Shot song. In this line, I compare labels, record labels, spending money to push artists on the public who suck, while ensnaring artists in terrible contracts, to King George's mistreatment of the colonies. So in this line, King George represents a record label, or record labels represent King George, and the colonies are artists. This line also includes a two-part sp alliteration via spending and spree, though I can't take credit for that as that is a direct reference to the original line, so that's Lynn's genius at work, not mine. But it's still in the line, and I've been pointing out all the other alliterations, so there you go. Amari don't need any to set he and his family free. This line is a direct reference to the line, he ain't never gonna set his descendants free, from the original My Shot song. This line includes a 5-part internal E rhyme via Amari, any, he, family, and free. The syllables of these rhyming words also progressively decrease over the course of the line from 3, Amari, to 2, both any and family, to 1, both he and free. So 5-part internal rhyme that progressively goes down in the syllable count. This line also includes a 3-part A letter, alliteration, repetition, whatever, via Amari, any, and. Cause he embodies supremacy in this century. This line completes the idea from the previous 2 lines, stating that I will never end up in a terrible contract that binds me and my family to indentured servitude, a la the colony's relationship with King George, because my skills are the definition of supreme. This line includes a 4-part internal E rhyme via he embodies supremacy and century. This line also includes 2 sets of different types of alliteration. You have sound-based alliteration via the s sound repetition of supremacy and century, as well as letter-based alliteration or repetition via the C letter repetition of cuz and century. So basically, I use century and create 2 different types of repetition, one sound-based and one letter-based. Royalty is thee every time you mention me. This line is a triple entendre. First meaning, this is a reference to the fact that my name, Amari, means prince, which we already touched on. So whenever someone says my name, they are indirectly calling me royal. Therefore, they're saying royalty is thee whenever they mention me. Amari also means other things depending on the translation, and my first EP, Amari Volume 1 Amari, features songs where each song is conceptually based around different translations of my name, including my debut song, Prince, because my name means prince. On that note, second meaning, this line also acts as a reference to my debut song, Prince, which I actually mentioned in my Hamilton reaction series around the time, I think, of Farmer Refuted, or yeah, that sounds right. Let's go with that. My debut song, Prince, which had a medieval beat and theme and includes the line, beseech thee that you'll stay so you'll see, including 2 Old English words in that line.
Yeah, the crown goes to me. Beseech thee that you stay so you see. I will take the throne, my royal decree. Princely, yeah, the crown goes to me. The fresh prince, look at how I get jazzy. First of his name, Leon will reign. I'm next up, so go ahead and crown E.
This line also includes the word thee, which is an Old English word dating back to a time where nobility was more common. I believe that this song and that song are my only 2 songs that use the word thee. It's not a very sexy word, but it's a great word as far as like time period dating. And so I used it here and in that song as well. Third meaning, this line also acts as a reference to my habit of responding to comments and messages from fans by calling the person king or queen, insert person's name. So in this interpretation of the line, if you're mentioning me, then you're royal, and I'm going to address you as such by calling you King George. Okay, maybe not King George, but you get what I'm saying. Queen, whoever. The only time I don't do this is when I can't figure out the person's like gender from either their name or their profile picture or whatever, then I just address them by their name. But if I can tell what your pronouns probably are from your page, or if it's just like written in the description of your page, because I do check every time I respond to comments, then I will address the person as king or queen so-and-so. Because this line uses the word ya instead of you, it creates a 4-syllable perfect in rhyme with the next line, ya mention me and attentions me, respectively. So don't be shocked when your country charts attentions me. This line is a direct reference to the line, don't be shocked when your history books mention me, which is a line that I love so much that I almost decided to keep it verbatim, but didn't do that. Instead, decided to adapt the idea of the line into something more apt for an ambitious musical artist in the 21st century, dominating global music charts. Because the previous line uses the word ya instead of you, it creates force. I already said that. You got the point. You mentioned me and attention to me, they rhyme. This line also uses ya and in turn creates a two-part internal rhyme via ya and the in attention. This line further includes two sets of internal letter repetition. First, a two-part letter repetition via so and shocked, then a two-part C letter repetition via countries and charts. Oh, we're almost done. You cannot dim my light luminosity. Luminosity is the quality of something that gives off light or shines with reflected light. This is used in astronomy to describe the intrinsic brightness of a celestial object, like the sun. This line means that while I give off light, it's like a star, so incredibly bright and in a way you can't control, tapping back into the concept of royalty, independence, so on and so forth. This contrasts me with man-made lights, which can be dimmed or turned off entirely, as well as fire, which can be snuffed out or put out. So basically, the light coming out of me is intrinsic, like the sun, not temporary like man-made lights or fire. In the original My Shot song, the line in this place includes the phrase, down my life. I think it's like, I will lay down my life if it sets us free.
That is correct.
I instead flip this into dim my light, which not only rhymes with the original song's phrase, so down my life, dim my light, but ties the line more directly into all of the light producing imagery mentioned earlier: coal, heat, spark, forest fire, the sun, etc. This line also includes a two-part la alliteration via the words light and luminosity. This line also includes a two-part internal oo rhyme via you and the lu part of luminosity. So follow me, we'll see the transcendency. This line is a direct reference to the original My Shot line. Eventually, you'll see my ascendancy, which is another line that I love so much that I almost decided to keep it in the song, but I didn't. Instead, I decided to swap it out with my own that means essentially the same thing, meaning that people who continue to follow the happenings of my career will watch me transcend to superstar status, and in turn will get to transcend with me as well, because for me, this is like all community based. One of the biggest things that I love about music is the community that gets built around songs that people love, albums that people love, artists that people love, so on and so forth. So unlike Hamilton, I'm not just focused on my ascendance, but I'm focused on like the collective of me and my fan base and so on and so forth, transcending together. This line also includes multiple sets of internal rhymes. There is a four-part internal E rhyme via me, we, see, and see in transcendency, so the last syllable of transcendency. And this line also includes a two-part internal O rhyme via so and follow. So again, the second part of follow. This line further includes a two-part T letter repetition via the and transcendency. Okay, lastly, the outro. I'm skipping over like the chorus part because like you guys know what that means. That's literally in the song. That's Lynn's writing. It's time to call the shots. This line is a direct reference to the line, it's time to take a shot, from the original My Shot song. I decided to change this line as I don't drink, so one half of the double entendre makes no sense for me to say. Instead, I change it to, it's time to call the shots, which means to be in charge, have the authority to make decisions, or control a situation. Essentially, it means to be the one in the room where it happens. Boom! Okay, so that is the breakdown for my remix of the My Shot song. I only did the intro, first verse, and like the first chorus or set of choruses because I am in album mode. I'm actually working on my own music, like my own original music at this point. And so working on this, I took a break on that, but I need to get back to that so that can come out. Hopefully you guys stick around to see those. I also didn't know if people would be interested in this song. I still don't know because I'm obviously filming this before the song comes out. So I don't know if people actually decided to watch it. And writing and then recording an almost 6-minute song that people may not be interested in didn't seem like the wisest use of my time. So yeah, I only did like the first initial part of the My Shot song. But if you really enjoyed that, let me know. Maybe I could do an extended version, do other remixes of other Hamilton songs. Just let me know in the comment section down below. But regardless, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I've enjoyed Hamilton so much so far. I actually still have one more part of Hamilton to watch at the time of recording this song and filming this video. So hopefully that goes great as well. Hopefully you guys watch that. But thank you so much for being here, and I'll be seeing all of you guys here on the channel for the next song or the next video, depending on what you're interested in. You guys have a great day. Peace.
Twilight, these skies no blues. A new love, but we know that it'll cruise like time in a queue. Wet shampoo, new bamboo. much more of it will ensue. I'm caught in this trance in loop of sinking down in the stew. You change up the brew, now life tastes so brand new. It's delicious like fondue. Under the moonlight tonight, stars and hearts shimmering. You illuminate who I am. You're a backlight, you are my midnight.